Welcome back. It is I, Louis Sankara, aka the Manga Poppy, here today. Now, if you've been living under a rock or comatose this past week, well, you absolutely missed chapter 380 of Rent a Girlfriend, which has set basically the entire anime community on fire. Also considered unanimously a pile of shit.
Baba Booey.
Now, I missed the initial coverage of chapter 380, which all of this was going on. So I'm going to be throwing in a bonus today, which is chapter 381, which just dropped only like a few hours ago. Well, probably like 20 hours ago. But we'll be diving right into that. Be warned, if you do care, there will be spoilers. Getting into the chapter, we're coming hot off of chapter 379 with the highly anticipated confession by Kazuya. Now, he finally pours out his feelings to Chizuru during this heartfelt moment, but to his and the reader's shock, Chizuru breaks things off, stating that she isn't ready for a real relationship. Come on, bro. And needs to focus on work and personal growth, and can't commit despite her emotional bond with him. This rejection coming off the heels of nearly 400 chapters of a slow burn buildup, sparked by intense backlash by the entire community clowning on this guy's, with many fans calling this one of the most frustrating, even the worst romance manga of all time. Not only erasing the years of buildup of emotional development, but it feels like it misled all the readers. But let's be real, this has been going on since the dawn of the first arc, basically the beginning of the series. Essentially, the chapter forces a hard reset on the relationship. Now, before we get into my thoughts about Kazu Simp, I do want to talk about chapter 381, as I did include this as a bonus. Since I was a little late. Now, Kazuya's acceptance of this was surprisingly mature, where he takes the ring back and isn't crying or anything like that, which he typically does. Chizuru basically gives him the ring back, and he walks away defeated, as now he has to go back to the home where they're both living until he moves out. Eventually, Kazuya is left alone on a train full of other passengers who are in relationships. But just as he's about to walk around the corner, he's about to run into Shizuru, as we can see in this panel. Bro, we're in the big 2025, and this is absolutely ringing all of my alarms when it comes to the previous arcs and how they would turn out. Well, Rent a Girlfriend basically goes through a cycle when it comes to all the chapters. And now, let me break it down for you, as someone has put it up online. The first step is disregard the cliffhanger from the last chapter, okay? Number two, write 15 pages of filler, okay? It's there. Three, draw a 2-page spread of Shizuru. Four, hint at a major development in the next chapter, okay? Five, add a cliffhanger tagline. Number six, repeats. Now, we seem to have gotten all of these except for step number three, where there's a 2 spread of Shizuru. Now there's a 2 spread of Kazuya, so I think that's a sign that things will be changing. And things are changing. I hope the theories aren't correct where Kazuya is going to run into her and she's going to say this was all a misunderstanding and she needs time, because that would be a huge slap in the face, essentially, to all the fans. Well, to people like me just reading the series, watching the train wreck, it'd be pretty funny. However, for those who are already invested in the series, that would be absolutely emotionally damaging on top of this that's going on. However, I think there might be a crazier ending, as I've been seeing this image being spread online about Shizuru getting together with basically Reiji Miyajima, the author of the series, and Kazuya being on the side, getting cucked. You got that NTR ending. However, that's not real. That's absolutely not real. I don't think that's going to happen. However, I do think it will end on a bittersweet note. There's no way the author can end this off in this fantasy land where Kazuya somehow, after paying an exorbitant amount of money, which I'll get into in a moment, is going to get with Shizuru after all this time. Now, about the 250,000 that Kazuya apparently has spent on Shizuru, I think that's a blown story. I think that's a outrageous number. I don't think that's the actual amount. Now, there's a Reddit post that has been going around basically trying to break that down. However, even back in 2022 when this screenshot was coming out of, so allegedly at this time, people were saying that he spent more than $250,000. There have been a bunch of people commenting even at the time that this is actually, miscalculated, And even back then, people were calling it out that it was in Mexican pesos to yen. So the translation there wasn't exactly accurate. And it was looking closer to something like $40,000, as people have been arguing back and forth that he's been basically spending a crazy amount of money, regardless of if it's 250,000 to what I've seen as low as $40,000. However, it is clown shit that he is absolutely blowing all this money on this rental girlfriend instead of, getting his money up, essentially investing in himself, investing in Bitcoin and altcoins. This dude could have done anything, but he decided to spend it on Shizuru. So it's still funny to clown on him for spending that much money. However, I don't think the $250,000 is exactly calculated to the T. I think there are a few errors because other people have broken it down a little better. It was basically an embellished headline. Don't get me wrong. However, he did still spend over 10 racks on this chick. Another point coming off of this chapter is that Kazuya basically broke it off with Ruka, saying there's absolutely no chance with her and that he's basically going to go confess to her. This man is absolutely slipping, dude. If you have some kind of love coming your way, you better damn well accept that kind of love because that is not easy to come around. Now, you can say whatever you want about Ruka. She's annoying, X, Y, and Z. However, she was there for him, and she even warned Kazuya about trying to chase over that 304 Shizuru. Now, I totally get it. He's infatuated with her. However, come on, man. You can still have Ruka right there. Like, what's the deal, dude? Are you dumb? She's been there since the beginning. She's a ride or die for you. If anything, she gets you stuff. So this guy is an absolute clown. This Kazu simp. However, I don't know how people can ride for her. She's not loyal, all right? She's only there for the bag. This guy is spread thin. After that movie arc, he spent over 40 racks on that. Just on that movie arc, just to get her a role as an actress and trying to level her up. All right? She didn't give him anything in return. Nothing. Just like a failed relationship, misled relationship. And Ruka even warns him about that. That she is basically a paid actress to be your girlfriend. And she is very good at trying to get you to feel emotionally invested. She even warned him. It wasn't anything kicking, screaming. She was just like, straight up, Kazuya, you're dumbass. You're straight dumbass. But hey, I don't blame Chizuru for getting that bag. We're in a time where people are lonelier than ever, and she's just trying to capitalize on that. Chizuru honestly is a genius trying to milk this one guy. I mean, he's taking out life savings, he's working another job, he's asking his parents. I mean, I would milk him for all he could too. This guy is a cash cow. We've got a lot of people in this generation that are down bad and spending crazy money on that blue platform. However, I just wish Kazuya would just wake up from it, man. This guy is getting sucked dry, not only emotionally, but financially. Have more respect for yourself, man. However, as more time goes on, I do find Shizuru to be annoying as she is very wishy washy for the protagonist, and you're supposed to be cheering for her. But at this point, I would cheer for someone more like Mami or especially Ruka. She's the best girl there. I mean, none of these girls really are suited for Kazuya. This guy is a lost cause. This is one of the only instances where I've seen the author NTR his own characters. Think about it. Reiji Miyajima has all of this fan art where he is with Shizuru, basically looking at her like a girlfriend. He's literally drawing her like in a POV style. There's even, allegedly, a bunch of these images, which I'm going to show you up on the screen, where he rented a house just to draw photos of Shizuru living with him. This guy is down bad and he absolutely cucked his own protagonists. I mean, how can Kazuya even compete with his creator? If anything, that'd be the funniest way to end the story too, is with Reiji Miyajima being with Shizuru. So yes, in conclusion, chapter 380 is a turning point, not because anything happens, but because nothing ever happens. It's where the fantasy starts to show cracks, and where fans, if they're honest, have to admit that it might not end the way they want it to. If Reiji Miyajima, after all this time, decides to end the series where Kazuya doesn't end up with the girl of his dreams, it will be absolute cinema. I mean, that's the most realistic ending you can get, fellas. You paying a ton of money and the girl does not reciprocate feelings towards you, that's hella realistic. Kazuya would be much happier if he just took the love from Ruka. Plus, Ray J ended up coming out of the series making a bag. I mean, Rent a Girlfriend is one of the series that sells a ton of copies still to this day. Not only with the beginning of the series starting in around 2020, where we started getting a bunch of English translations, to this day, it's getting a ton of views, not only on all these manga websites, but the anime too. In conclusion, Kazuya would be much more happier if he accepted the love he received from Ruka, and he will have to learn the hard way. The seeds have been planted from the beginning. You can't make a housewife out of a 304. This has been Luis Sankara. Be sure to drop your thoughts down below and leave a like, La Familia. Adios.